Morning Show. Eddie Francis and for Will Sutton. I hope you're having a great morning this morning. The weather is trying to be really nice right now. It's trying. It's trying. Um, let's see. Today we are going to have a pretty okay day. It looks like it's going to be kind of rainy, but the chance of rain isn't much. But other than that, I mean, the high is 83, low 69. So if the rain doesn't spoil your day in any way, try to enjoy the weather. Try to enjoy whatever sun we get. It's kind of is you never know. It's kind of in and out. You never know exactly what it's going to look like sometimes, but we'll see. We'll see. Right now we are streaming live as always. Facebook. Good morning, Facebook community. So happy to be here with you. I'm glad that you are spending your morning and waking up with WBOK as always. And of course, our friends on YouTube. Thank you for hanging out on YouTube as always. Instagram Live, we're there right now. And so you can hang out at IG Live. Of course, there's also the website, WBOK1230.com. There is the Play Ode app. You can listen that way as well. And you can always just turn your radio dial to 12:30 a.m. It works that way as well. A few things that we're going to be talking about this morning. We're going to get a visit from Bishop T. Delbert Robinson from Greater St. Stephen's, talk about what's happening over there. And there's a crisis of trust, not in New Orleans, not in Louisiana, not throughout the U.S., but around the world. A crisis of trust. We're also going to talk about an HBCU that people fear may be in danger of being whitewashed. That's a pretty interesting story. I really can't wait to get to that one because I do want to get your opinion about what happens when there are changes made at HBCUs, especially when it looks like the population of people who are not black is growing at an HBCU. But we'll get to that story in just a little bit. But I wanted to open with a really interesting story that was posted about 15 hours ago by Emily Woodruff on NOLA.com. During hot nights, the Louisiana Mental Health Hotline gets a disturbing increase in calls. And what this article says is that when temperatures stay above 70 degrees, it has a measurable effect on residents' mental health, according to a study that adds to a growing body of research on the links between heat and psychological well-being. Research is analyzing nearly 12,000 calls to Louisiana's 988 suicide hotline, found that those calls about suicide increased 19% after nights in the 90th percentile for heat, 55% after nights in the 95th percentile, and 166% after the most extreme hot nights, according to the peer-reviewed study, which was published earlier this year in PLOS Mental Health. The researchers defined extreme heat relative to what is typical for each parish, using percentiles rather than a fixed temperature. A hot night in the study generally meant overnight low temperatures in the low mid 70s in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Lafayette, and the mid to upper 60s in Shreveport, which reflect the 90th percentile of what is typical for each area, the article says. Article goes on to say that the findings represent some of the latest research linking heat to mental health crises. Studies across the U.S. and internationally have found connections between higher temperatures and suicide deaths. Emergency department visits for suicidal behavior and also violent crime and domestic violence. And so the researchers are saying that Louisiana here, with the humid subtropical climate and the rising nighttime temperatures, offers an example of how heat can strain both the body and the mind. The Louisiana study examined 11,684 crisis hotline risk assessments conducted between 2019 and 2023 by Violink, the nonprofit that operates the 988 suicide and crisis lifeline in the state. Researchers looked at whether suicide related calls increased on the day of and up to 2 days after extreme temperatures. The strongest association was at night rather than scorching temperatures during the day. And so the findings come as Louisiana continues to grapple with intensifying heat, the article says. While daytime highs have not increased dramatically in recent decades, minimum temperatures, nighttime heat, have risen steadily since 2000, according to the study. And so lawmakers are considering policies to keep air conditioning running during extreme heat. In northern states, utility companies are prohibited from turning off electric service during colder months. The same policies could be put in place in Louisiana for warmer periods. And so this is something that is very, very interesting. Um, I mean, have you seen anything like this? The phone number is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Have you seen anything like this? Have you seen or have you heard anyone, when the heat gets extreme, they start to express things more? Do they express something about self-harm when it gets hotter? And I think that for a lot of us, sometimes we assume that, yeah, it's hot. Of course, people are going to be aggravated. But this article is saying something else. This article is talking about people expressing self-harm when there is extreme heat. And remember, extreme heat is relative across the state, according to the measurements used in this study. 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. And also something that is very interesting is a series that Verite News is doing on the toxic levels of lead throughout the city. What it says on Verite, if you go to veritenews.org, it says much of New Orleans is exposed to lead, a toxic metal that is a pervasive threat in homes, water lines, and even playgrounds across the city. And the series is investigating some of the sources of lead contamination that remain in New Orleans today, the threat to public health, and ways the city can move closer to becoming lead-free. And if you go to Verite, there are heat maps there asking, does your neighborhood park contain lead? Does drinking water near you contain lead? Something that Verite is digging into. And so I think that is definitely something for us to pay attention to. And so we're going to take a break right now. We'll come back in just a little bit. Eddie Francis in for Will Sutton on the Good Morning Show on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. New Orleans police are searching for the person responsible for shooting and killing a man in New Orleans East. Meanwhile, New Orleans police search for the person responsible for that issue, and the NOPD says this happened yesterday afternoon on Chase Street off of Benson. Police say they found the man lying on the ground dead from a gunshot wound. We continue to follow that breaking news as well. And another shooting in the French Quarter was a big issue as well that left one man injured. It happened just before 11 o'clock last night near the corner of Iberville and Royal. Police say when officers got to the scene, they found a man suffering from a gunshot wound. Police say EMS took him to the hospital for treatment. No word on the victim's condition or a motive for the shooting. The Sewage and Water Board's board rating is now taking a hit. S&P Global Ratings lowered its rating on the board from an A- to triple B+. The group says the new rating reflects the water system's limited rate-setting flexibility and reliance on external funding sources. Mayor Moreno says she will seek reforms after several water main breaks this year and budget challenges. And Mayor Moreno says the city is aiming to have 1,500 potholes filled each week. We saw that work in action yesterday with potholes already being filled in Gertown. Mayor Moreno says she plans to sign an executive order soon to speed up the hiring of 50 in-house employees to save the city money. Public Works Director Steve Nelson says while the pothole repairs will be done quickly, they are not a long-term fix. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK.
New Orleans, are you ready for a voice that says what you're thinking? Who that, you might ask? Arrington Gavin. That's right, I'm your guy, host of the Arrington Gavin Show, giving you so much filled with bold opinions, real conversations, and zero sugarcoating. We're going to be diving into the issues that matter, politics, pop culture, and all the above, unfiltered and unafraid. Catch the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Fridays right here on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Eddie Francis, and magically,
drum roll,
he
please.
just appeared out of nowhere.
Good morning, New Orleans.
The good Reverend Dr. Torrance Sanders, everybody.
All right, good to be back. Good to be back.
Representing our dear fraternity.
Yeah, that's right.
Alpha Phi Alpha. The pride of our hearts.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm great. You know, I ain't used to coming here now, so of course I woke up this morning, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
So,
welcome, sir.
thank you.
I appreciate it. And so, so there were a couple of interesting things that I was taking a look at. And let's see, a couple of things that I was taking a look at. And we have something else playing in my. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, that Jared. He decided. Oh, he's going with April Fool's early. So if you're wondering what the pause was there, so we're wearing these headphones. If you're not watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, we're wearing these headphones, and Jared was doing some production work. And whatever he was doing just came into the headphones, and I just heard Daryl Forges in my ears.
That's right.
So, Forges, this is not the way I want to talk to you right now, man. Definitely not. But yeah, man. So that actually happened to be one morning. I was actually supposed to come in. And, I come from Slidell.
Oh well, yeah.
And I woke up. I slept really well that night too.
Yeah.
And I looked at my phone, and there was a text from Nyron. Mr. Eddie, are you coming?
Yo, you coming?
I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was actually somebody's co-pilot this morning.
Yeah.
I mean that morning.
Uh-huh.
And I said, oh yeah, they're gonna have to fly solo.
Yeah.
They can do it. I have faith.
Until you get it back in your system, and you realize.
Exactly. So listen, man.
But I know you were talking about lead poisoning, and I know the city, well, all over, not just in New Orleans. I know Jefferson Parish and all the surrounding areas, they had done some studies on amount of lead pipes and that kind of stuff, and unfortunately, they found a lot.
Yeah.
And everything, and so definitely a lot more public education needs to be done about that. especially because that affects children in particular in
Yeah.
terms of their developmental processes. So, I mean, it's not good for grown folk either, but it's definitely not good for children.
Definitely not for children. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely want that. Don't want them. And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but I did see something from Verite that they're doing an event tonight at the building about this, a panel discussion. But I went to the website. I don't see the event posted on the website, so I'm not sure if they're still doing that event tonight or not. If anybody knows anything about that, please give us a call, 504-582-9422, to let us know, because this is important. I mean, the reporting that they did on this is important, and most definitely is something that we need to know about, and
Yes.
we need to understand more of it, most definitely. But something that I ran across that's pretty interesting, Torrin, is there's this story out there that's asking a question about an HBCU, asking if it's being whitewashed.
Wow.
And
And
it's
now-
not a new issue, by
Yeah.
the
Well,
way.
what do they mean by whitewash?
So here it is. This is actually a story on HBCUGameDay.com, which Game Day, they were pretty interested. They're a sports site,
Yeah,
obviously.
they're reputable.
But
right?
they've actually done some pretty good stories about things happening at HBCUs outside of sports. But this one caught my eye because this is an issue that has come up before, but this one in a different capacity. So this is at Kentucky State. Actually, no, a couple of thoroughbreds. And so one of my great speaking colleagues, Tish Norman, is a Kentucky State grad. But the thing that's happening is that there is a unanimous vote on Senate Bill 185 in Kentucky. That is a state
Okay.
bill that is promises to change the direction of Kentucky State. And what was going on is that Kentucky State was in trouble. They, like a few other HBCUs, were pretty much, on the brink
Yeah.
of
Closing.
closing. And what lawmakers decided to do in a unanimous 38-0 vote, they are going to transition Kentucky State into a polytechnic institution over the next 5 years. And now the legislation, the Senate did approve it. Now it has to move to the House. But there are a lot of Kentucky State alumni who are wondering what this really means
Yeah.
for the university.
Gotcha.
So is this going to change, literally, the complexion
Yeah.
of the students on campus? And there is some real concern about that. And so the lawmakers, though, the report says on HBCU Game Day, they actually talked about flat out closing Kentucky State. But what they decided to do is they decided to take this look at whether or not shifting it to a polytechnic, which is a STEM-centered institution with a lot of hands-on application and the learning, deciding whether or not it's going to be more of a workforce-driven model centered on technical and applied learning. So, what happens is that it limits the university to 10 in-person academic programs. And as a result, the traditional liberal arts offerings would be moved online, is what this
Wow.
article is saying.
Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, it doesn't seem like it could necessarily on the face of it. On the face of it, now, on the bad thing, because definitely universities need to re-engineer to some extent to remain competitive.
Higher education needs to re-engineer.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
and there is, definitely a focus on more career alignment with academia. In fact, a lot of metrics now are being looked at in terms of they want to look at, the graduate jobs, their, student debt, and it's basically to compare the value of a degree, to what you're going to get actually in numbers. Now, I don't completely agree with that because I think higher education
The job
should be
thing
more
is
about,
tricky.
but it should be more about than just getting a job. It is about
Exactly.
refining the mind and creating a more sophisticated citizenry. Can I preach?
You know what? I actually want to come back to this.
Oh, you got to come.
really
But on the other
wanna
hand,
come
just
back to
quickly,
this.
on the other hand, it's like, then if this comes with an continued recruitment of African American students into those fields, then that can be a net positive. But if it's an attempt, to walk away from, Black students and to pursue other dynamics. Now, I went to Howard back in the '80s, and we had a ton of non-black students, even at that time. So, I mean, white students, Asian students coming to HBCUs is not a new thing at all. We've always been open.
It's not, and and part of what the Kentucky State alumni are looking at is that the admission standard for the university would take the GPA up to a 2.5, ACT score of more than 18. So I don't know if Kentucky State is open admission or not, but 2.5 tells me that it's probably open. And so there is some of that concern. But you're right. You're right. I mean, one of the biggest jokes about Xavier is that if you go to the College of Pharmacy, you can't tell it's an HBCU. And actually the same thing, I mean, I remember when I started doing PR at SUNO, and I saw the MSW, Master Social Work.
We had a lot of white students.
A lot of white students. So, I mean, this happens, though, every time. Every time an HBCU takes in a lot of students who are not black. This happens every single time. I was at Paul Quinn College in Dallas where a lot of Latino students there was an influx of Latino students. Lincoln University in Missouri has a lot of white students. I actually did a talk at Lincoln, and I would say probably almost 50% of the audience was probably white. But it doesn't mean it's not an HBCU.
That's right.
I mean,
right.
The H stands for historically.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
But I would be interested in what people think about where higher education sits right now. Because 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422, because there's a lot of distrust of higher education. There is also a big argument that higher education is no longer serving its purpose. And what comes up is people say every single time, well, if you can't get a job, what good is the college? But you can't really measure. So I'll use myself as an example. My undergraduate degree is in mass communications. People would say, well, Eddie, if you haven't been working in radio or media or something like that, your degree failed you.
Yes.
But what people don't really understand is that I can use my degree almost anywhere. I can use it in any industry.
That's great training generally.
Because what happens is that I learned the principles of the communication process. I learned the intricacies of it. Every industry has people who fail to communicate well.
Yeah, that's right.
And so my degree is really very versatile.
Yes.
And I have used it everywhere. I have. I mean, it's not so. And people say, well, this person got. I think this happens a lot also with people in STEM. Someone gets a degree in biology, and they're like, oh, well, okay, well, you're going to be a biologist.
Yeah.
Somebody becomes a president of a university. Actually, this is Walter Kimbrough's story. He has a biology degree.
That's right.
But he's in education. He's in higher education, and he's not teaching. He is in the administrative side of higher education, and his background in higher education is student affairs. So does that make him a failure?
Yeah, of
did his
course
biology
not.
Degree fail him?
No, but the sciences teach you how to think. Mass communication, again, you're right. Communication is you can't get a broader human experience than learning how to speak and how to write and how to communicate. Look, my degree, watch it, is in philosophy undergrad.
Oh, goodness gracious. I know you caught it.
That was so bad. In fact, when I wanted to declare my major in that, the philosophy department called me in for a meeting. And said, now, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, but they asked me, I knew what I wanted. And they said, why do you want to major in this? I said, I want to learn how to think. That's what I told you. Look, as a 17-year-old, I said, I want to learn how to think. Yeah. And they said, well, philosophy is thinking about thoughts. I said, well, I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
And because, and I knew I was going to go, I knew, quote unquote, that I would hopefully be blessed to go to grad school or professional school. And then that's where I would learn my trade or whatever that would become. I chose social work and then, of course, into the ministry. But my foundation, which I use every day, is my critical thinking skills. And people say, oh, it's like in solutions and coming up with, problem solving. That's so fundamental, just like communication. And so, you can't measure that by, the job, once you have that nugget of a skill set, then you just fill me up with knowledge and I can go, but you still have the thinking skills. So, that's why, the whole attack on liberal arts I think is poorly founded. We need to have people in society that have not just learned one thing.
Yeah. So what do you think? The number is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Right now, higher education is under attack. Liberal arts are under attack. But has higher education lost its oomph, its luster? Has it lost its usefulness? And if so, why? If not, what do we need to do to continue to get people into it? And when we come back, I actually do want to talk about how I have seen people use their education to pivot in their careers very, very, very well. Once again, the number is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. I'm Eddie Francis in for Will Sutton on the Good Morning Show. Reverend Torrin Sanders is hanging out with us, the good doctor
Good morning,
himself.
good morning.
Appreciate you hanging out, my brother. We're on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about all
day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Looking at another day of being very warm and muggy with another chance for some afternoon showers as we approach about noon to 6 p.m. That's when we'll see the heaviest amount of rain. And then as far as temperatures go for today, 81 to 83. For tonight, showers should come to an end. We'll see lows 63 to 68. And then for tomorrow, a little less rain coverage, but still going to see some scattered showers. Highs 81 to 83. Still watching for showers and storms on Easter. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
The National World War II Museum, located in the Warehouse District of New Orleans. The National World War II Museum tells the story of America's experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. Visit them online at www.nationalww2museum.org for time tickets and safety information.
City Park is where to go when you don't know where to go. Turn towards the city center and start walking. Before long, you'll end up where you belong, at the heart of the city, New Orleans City Park. Stroll along the reeded marsh, wander through the sculpture garden, rest and recharge beneath ancient oak trees. This is where your spirit goes to grow. It's in our nature to yearn for nature. NewOrleansCityPark.org, heart of the city.
The Ron Kelly Show. Real talk, bold truth. Tune in for your weekly dose of unapologetic conversations that don't dodge the truth or dilute the message. Stay informed on the issues that matter most on The Ron Kelly Show, every Monday at 7 p.m. on WBOK 1230 a.m.
Greetings and salutations. I am Edward B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon on WBOK to listen in on Black to Business and be a part of the movement that's going on. Thank you.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Eddie Francis in for Will Sutton. Reverend Dr. Torrin Sanders.
Good morning, good morning.
One of my favorite bison, by the way.
Yes, sir. HU.
One of my favorite ones. I have a bunch of them, by the way. I'm surrounded by them. Rory Verrett, Stan Verrett, Norman Roussel. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Cousins. I mean, this too many bison to name.
Yeah, when I was there wasn't a whole lot of New Orleanians, but now I know it has grown tremendously. Every year we see more and more. Yeah.
So I graduated from high school in '88. And I'll never forget Rory Verrett telling us, he's like, I'm going to go to Howard and then I'm going to go to Harvard Law. He did both of those.
Uh-huh.
But I think seven guys from my class went to Howard.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. There were a couple of them, I had no idea they were at Howard.
Yeah, and Stan was, I think, a year under me.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Stan Burrell. Yeah.
Because he's what?
Because he pledged Alpha at Beta chapter in '86, and I know the year I graduated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, get out of here. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Charles Rice was there with me, and
wow.
We
Stan the man.
Yeah, Kamala was my classmate.
Really?
Yeah.
That's right. '86.
Yeah, she actually beat me for freshman class president.
Did she?
Yeah.
And now
we weren't friends, but I mean, I knew her. I knew who she was. And everything. So.
And now it's all justified.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Santita Jackson, Jesse Jackson's daughter, was there with me.
Yeah.
We both were active in student government. And she was real cool. I saw her on TV when her father passed away.
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen her in a while. So yeah, they're a little bit everywhere.
Oh man, get out of here!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Howard stronghold, and I mean, as everybody knows, I live in a Hampton household, so I have to watch what I say. I have to watch how much love I show to Howard sometimes.
Yeah, another trip was I know freshman year. We lived in Charles Drew Hall, which is the freshman male dorm, and of course, Dr. Charles Drew, basically invented the blood plasma storage and the basis of the Red Cross and everything, which he eventually left because they wanted to segregate black blood versus white blood. But that's another story. But actually, his grandson, Ernie Drew Jarvis, was one of my classmates, and so it was a trip. He was like, "Wait a minute, your granddaddy is on the building,
so
and you here with us?"
That
But he was a real cool guy. I mean, unassuming, but a great legacy. His mother was a city council person at that time, Charlene Drew Jarvis. Yeah.
That actually happened with me at Loyola. So there was a frat brother of ours who was going through our process. Charles Hamilton Houston III.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And so I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So it was that was a very cool experience. Wow, you were around some legends, man.
Yeah, I didn't know it. Everybody was just, what's up, bro?
Exactly. You do, so you do look at people. I mean, now that I think about how many people I know who were elected officials, and I went to high school, I went to college with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just old big head. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, in fact,
who thought he could rap?
I guess it was maybe my senior year. He's lesser known maybe to people here, but Baraka, Amiri Baraka,
Amiri
the poet and activist. Well, so his son came in as a freshman, Raz Baraka, who was now the mayor of Newark. He was educated and became mayor of Newark. But I remember because again I was philosophy and English, and so I loved I read all of Baraka's stuff when I was in college, and so I heard that his son was on campus. And so me and another guy, this is a real nerd story. So we were like, we're going to find where he is, right? So we found him. And, we kind of, mild hazed him. We were like, oh, look, what's up, freshman Baraka? He was like, nah, we really love your dad, so you cool with us, But yeah, so.
I mean, how nerdy can it be, though? If you've read Black Voices,
yes,
you get to meet the son of somebody who's published in Black Voices.
Yes, yeah.
That's dope.
It was.
That is very dope.
Yeah.
So, we got a lot of people on the line right now, so let's get to the folks on the line. Eric, sorry to keep you waiting. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, God bless you. How you doing today?
Doing well.
Good. Yeah, I would like to see these HBCUs reach out to the black community. You mentioned Xavier University. It's a joke that you hardly see any black students in the School of Pharmacy. I remember a couple of years ago I was looking at Dillard's Facebook page, and for the tennis teams, for the men's tennis teams, they didn't have not one black male on the tennis team, and on the women's tennis team, I think they had 2 black women out of the entire tennis team. So to me, if HBCUs, if their mission is to uplift the black community, that needs to be their mission, is to reach out to the black community so that we can have black students in our institutions of higher learning. It's not. Just say you're not an HBCU. I mean, that's not your mission. That's not your purpose.
But
I think the HBCUs are trying to have their cake and eat it too, when our community is not really being served in many areas by these institutions.
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit because, I mean, having worked
and that's our problem. We get pushed around while everybody else steps ahead of us.
No. I said push back a little bit on your point, but the thing is that the vast majority of Xavier, Dillard, they are black students. Now, there ain't no question about it. You go to campus, you will see what you want to see, and they do the outreach. I think what you saw though is you saw for Dillard. I know about I was there when the tennis team was formed, actually,
right?
And so that's athletic recruiting, and that's finding the people who they feel can do the job, who can go out and win matches. And so that's what that part is. But you take a look at that. You can't take a look at what you see on social media and say, okay, well, this is what the direction. Matter of fact, right now in the Facebook comments, there's a comment about a white band member at Southern and a white band member at Grambling, and then the sky is falling. It's okay. I was at Grambling recently. I know what I just saw. There are a lot of black people at Grambling. So
yeah,
I don't think HBUs have stopped recruiting black students. Not by a long shot.
Well, I think you can look at the departments. When I was at Howard, I mean, it was a rarity to see a black student in the physics department. I mean, everybody else was non-black. And to me, it was like maybe 10% black at Howard's physics department. So to me, there's some areas that need to be looked at because there's definitely an under-participation of black students in some of these programs. I mean, the data states that, and as you said, there's a lot of black students at HBCUs, but there's some departments or some programs where our community is not benefiting from.
You're right. This is Reverend Sanders, and I appreciate your comment, brother. And I think what we know that what we're seeing in those areas is again a reflection of what's happening in the K-12 area and in our communities, where, Serena and Venus, was still, rarities, were it not for their father who had a mission to say, no, we can break into this, we can do this without the support. Our community is still primarily basketball and football, so to speak, and a little bit of baseball now. So, those issues, and of course with our STEM, Dr. Mackey has done a great job here, and others. But it's still like, many schools, unfortunately, even post-Katrina, was not offering physics. I mean, I've done some research on that, and the AP courses that's needed to get into any college in terms of, with a higher GPA and scholarship potential for not only physics, but what's that other thing? I forget the other, calculus, all those higher mathematics, higher science. So there's a reflection of where we need to do advocacy at the high school level and before to really then prepare so that there are students to recruit at the college level in those STEM areas as well as in other non-traditional sports for African Americans.
Yeah, and I would add, Eric, the one university that is missing in this discussion that really needs to be uplifted is Dillard, because Dillard's physics department, Dillard has been actually graduating a really good number of black physics graduates, and they've been doing very, very well over there. And I really hate that they don't get the credit that they deserve for. When I was doing communications and marketing, I did my best to help tell that story, and people were like, "Oh, that's nice," and I was like, "But this is major. This is really major.
Exactly.
They are doing a really good job." So. Yeah, but I appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, and we're gonna keep pushing. We're definitely gonna keep pushing.
I know Howard just recently, I guess the last maybe 5 years, got a golf team, but it's funded, I think, by Steph Curry.
I think it is. Yeah,
and they've just been getting started. But then there's not that many blacks in golf. Prayers for Tiger Woods, even right now. So we need to do more work in those non-traditional areas, whether it's academics or athletics.
Absolutely. All right, Reverend Wallace, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Good morning to you, Pastor Torrey Sanders and Mr. Will,
yes,
and for listening to WBOK. I want to say also, I went to Howard too, so I guess I'm an alumni. I visited when I was in Washington, D.C., so that makes me an alumni, huh, Torrey?
We'll make you honorary at least.
Okay, but really, I think the young man had a valid point, but his participation, and as you said, it starts at the lower level, early education, and I think, when we look at the historical fact, how these colleges sustained over all the years and years, and they were in pastures and cow barns and cows, and you got to go back and look at the historical aspect of where black colleges come from and where they're at today. You will be surprised to say it's amazing, it's a miracle. So I thank God for people like you, Mr. Will, and certainly Reverend Torres. Not only has he contributed a lot in the spiritual realm in our community, but he has also been involved in every aspect of the community to uplift, to instill in people the value and integrity that they can excel. We are resilient people. We are people that can make it. Jesse Jackson say, just keep hope alive. We don't have to throw our hands in the towel because what other folks are going ahead of us. We just got to stay on the pace of progress and be steadfast, unmovable, and we'll get where we're going to get. And we've got that from our foreparents, and they went through all the stuff they went through and brought us to where we're at today. So we have a power. We have two things we have power in. We have power in the money that we spend in this country, and we have power in the vote. If we come together as a black people and work as one organ, we can accomplish anything. We can do some great things in this country. We don't have to worry about Trump. Barack Obama was worse than Trump, and I don't think Trump is we don't have to worry about being put in jail and thrown in there for voting. But whatever they do, we still got the Constitution to hold over their head. And we're going to beat them with that. We're going to beat them with their own equipment, their own laws, their own rules, and that's what. So I'm not worried about birthright and all that other stuff. That's going to pass. This too shall pass, Dr. Sanders.
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Sanders, I want to say thank you. And Mr. Will, if I can change
Eddie, we got Eddie today.
If I could be the mayor for 5 minutes, I would change Canal Street to your name for all of the contributions and articles you have wrote to uplift and instill in just the aspiration in black people to let them know you are great people. You come from a great legacy, and you got a lot to be satisfied by. You just mentioned about the man with the plasma, the blood thing, Dr. Torres. So we need to know our history. The problem, we are ignorant because we don't know history. We don't get in books.
Yes.
Yeah, and we most certainly will. Thank you, Reverend Riles. I really appreciate you, and I'll keep working on those articles. No, so Will is out.
Yeah.
Will is out, and April Fool's. So,
Yeah, that's right.
all right, we got Big O on the line right now. Good morning, Big O.
Hey, good morning, man. First of all, shout out to you guys, and it's always good to listen to you, Eddie. I appreciate what you bring.
Thank you.
And, of course, Dr. Francis, my co-host for a long time. Dr. Francis, interesting. Dr. Francis. Dr. Sanders.
I mean,
What'd you say, Big O?
If you
got
would
my
like,
name?
If you would like to confer an honorary doctorate upon me, I will gladly take it.
Well, look, let me say this in Lord Ninth Ward vernacular. Dr. Sanders, you the dark-skinned bird. You represent everything and more of what Dr. Francis wanted to get across to us. So I wanted to go back to the comment. When Dr. Sanders talked about K through 12, how do we begin to restructure K through 12, especially Dr. Sanders, given the focus you and I used to have on black wealth and African Americans in the economy? I remember you talking about the Poverty Fest and Poverty Workshop that you did that I went to at the church several years ago, and we're actually doing worse. One of the things that I remember you and I talked about was African Americans will graduate 10% in tech but only get hired at 4%. We know the CNBC economic report in February of 2024 said black men were missing from the nation's economy. We just read a report, Eddie, said about 500,000 black men just recently lost their jobs or fell out of the job market. The Brookings Institute report and the Commission on Black Men and Boys that Marco Rubio and Kamala Harris set on basically said that black men and boys face obstacles and discrimination and racism in every social institution. It didn't say some. It said every social institution. And during my time on the council on the budget committee, if you watch those meetings, guys, I was famous for saying that 85% of every organization, Dr. Francis, that came before the council the 4 years I was back for funding and budgeting, didn't have a black man at the table. So how do we begin to restructure K through 12 to make sure that at least we have a chance, especially for, and of course, black women make 49 cents on the dollar here in Louisiana. Hispanics have surpassed us in home ownership for the first time. They use two incomes, his and hers. East Indians have the highest income now, and Asians are on par with whites. So we can talk about race and political parties, but Dr. Sanders, for years you talked about who cares what race you are when you can live where you want, send your kid to school where you want, and have money to choose the kind of lifestyle you want. I'd like to hear you elaborate more on that.
Yeah, as usual, Big O, you threw out a whole lot of good stuff there. I guess the part I'll chew on is one, in terms of K-12, a lot of it starts with our curriculum standards. And to be honest, we got to stop playing games with people and making families think that their children are getting the highest quality standards, when a lot of us, unfortunately, our standards have been to some extent dumbed down. We got to make sure that our kids are able to compete not just against Louisiana kids or against Mississippi kids, but against global children, all right, around the globe. And so our standards need to reflect that global competition that our kids are up against. That's the first thing we need to do, and not trying to, again, play politics with standards of learning just to make people feel good. Secondly, then is, children have to see what they can be. And so those who have achieved in those areas and fields need to be more visible. We need to get out of the universities, so to speak, in terms of get more into the communities, be more community-minded in terms of our efforts and our work. And then, we need to be reminded culturally that black people, that African people have done this and were the first to do it in the STEM, Imhotep, in the medical field, and so unfortunately, I know when I was growing up, I think, black people didn't know much about this stuff, when really black people invented the stuff, so to speak. And so we have to also culturally infuse our families and children, say, no, this is us. This is who we are. Yes, we're good writers, we're good orators, we're good on that, but we are also leaders and have been historically leaders in STEM fields also. And so it's just about recapturing who we are, not trying to become something different.
And the irony of STEM right now is that in the workforce, there are tech companies, there are science organizations that are saying, we really, really love that we're getting people who have the technical proficiency to do the work. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they don't have the people skills to do the work. And so when we need someone to be a manager at this tech company, or when they need to be a manager at the lab, or we need somebody who knows how to work with people. Mm-hmm. So now, what even STEM companies and organizations are saying is, we need liberal arts.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are saying it. They're like, listen, you don't have to know anything about isotopes or anything like that. What we need you to do is we need you to get these people together so they can work together in the labs.
That's right.
And then they can do the things. And that's where that big value is right now, as far as what we're looking at as far as liberal arts. And so, I think that is such an irony to me about STEM. It is such an irony.
Well, all people, need to be well-rounded. Even if I knew I wasn't going to be a medical doctor because I didn't want to see the inside of nobody. All right, I don't want to see no blood. I don't see that.
That's a bit of a deterrent.
I have no interest in that. Now, I did okay in chemistry and biology in school, but that was the extent. So, but yes, if you want to talk about how to work with people, how to talk to people, I'm your man. Right. So, but, I realized I needed some of that other stuff. Right. Mm-hmm. We all need to be well-rounded and to kind of go beyond what our natural inclinations are to be the best selves, or find somebody that can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And help us out in those areas,
Yeah. John, I know you're holding right now, and we're going to go to a break really, really quickly and come right back to you. So hold on, John. Thank you for your patience. I'm Eddie Francis in for Will Sutton on the Good Morning Show. The Reverend Dr. Reverend Torrance Sanders hanging out with us this morning on WBOK, where New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Young black entrepreneur Dion Nicholas founded agentic AI company Forethought in 2017 to try to make AI used for customer service more user-friendly. Nicholas refers to it as human-centered AI.
Customers are getting their questions answered faster, and they're actually seeing an even better experience in many cases than when interacting with a human agent. So this idea of, hey, I just want to press 0 and talk to a human is actually a thing of the past when it comes to agentic AI.
That's Nicholas on Bloomberg Television. The company so far has done well enough that it caught the attention of the much larger firm Zendesk, which decided to acquire Forethought. Tom Eggemeyer is CEO of Zendesk and spoke to Bloomberg about why Forethought aligns with his company's vision for agentic AI.
A lot of companies are just trying to get deflections, get the customer not talking to them. Forethought is exactly what Zendesk is trying to do. We're really symbiotic here. We're trying to resolve the customer's issues.
I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Pros, just because something on the job runs out doesn't mean you have to. Order it on the Lowe's app. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members get free same-day delivery on eligible orders over $25. Get the fasteners, hardware, or tools you need to keep the job moving. Order by 2 p.m. and get eligible in-stock items delivered right to your job site by 8 p.m. Members get more at Lowe's. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Subject to availability. Restrictions and terms at lowes.com/shipping terms. Subject to change.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
On Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, here's a snippet of some of what we cover. GPS pioneer Gladys West.
We worked long hours computing trajectory orbits and satellite orbits, trying to get the data and everything correct enough.
Auto analyst Mark Bland.
14 new vehicle deals that happen in this country out of every 100 that women don't have a fingerprint on.
To tune in, check out Auto Trends with JeffCars.com. Saturdays at 4 p.m. on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Transform your bathroom with the beautiful quality of Bath Planet. As a trusted leader in bathroom renovation, Bath Planet has earned the Good Housekeeping seal, a symbol of quality and consumer confidence for over 100 years. Get half off installation or 18 months with no interest and no payments. Whether it's tub replacement, a shower replacement, or a tub-to-shower conversion, Bath Planet makes your custom bath fast, easy, and affordable. Here's how it works. 1. Call to schedule your free, no-obligation consultation. 2. Our design experts come to you with real samples to customize your dream bath. 3. Our certified installers complete the transformation in as little as 1 day. And right now, for a limited time, you can upgrade your bathroom for 50% off installation or choose 18 months with no interest and no payments. But you need to call now. This special offer is only available by calling 800-981-8177. That's 800-981-8177. Call 800-981-8177 right now before the offer ends.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Eddie Francis in with the good Reverend Dr. Torrin Sanders.
Good morning.
Let's go straight to the phone lines because John has been patiently waiting. Thank you so much, John. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing well.
Dr. Sanders, Eddie Francis, I appreciate y'all having that fruitful conversation. I'll be real quick. I got some breaking news. It's April 1st. My name is John Winthrop. I'm an entrepreneur. But in this hat, I'm the president for the National Black Brewer Association. I know you gentlemen was talking about STEM. A lot of people don't view beer manufacturing as STEM, but it encompasses everything that you need from college and master level education. Right now, there's a festival called Barrels on the Bayou. It's a highly successful sister city version of a festival from Pittsburgh that I've been at for 7 years called Barrel and Flow Fest. But prior to, he's been planning to come to New Orleans for the last 5 years. To Oliver Thomas' credit, and I'm glad I caught his contribution to the conversation. He was one of the first leaders that met with the proprietor, Dave Bracey, and really was enthused with him getting into this space of investing in New Orleans. This gentleman has invested 5 years of his time in bringing the largest Black beer festival to New Orleans. It's won multiple beer awards. It's won in the USA Today 4 times in a row now, Best Beer Festival in America. It's a completely independent enterprise. That mission statement is we play Black people, and they've raised more than $5 million for like entrepreneurs, vendors, artists, you name it, in the city of Pittsburgh. They bring it to New Orleans, right? It's scheduled for April 17th to 18th. If all things was going good, I just got wind on Monday that through some kind of, and I'm going to just call it collusion, an ordinance was passed via French Quarter Fest to ban that festival from occurring at Lafayette Square, post them having a permit that's been in play since November. Now, I'm bringing that to y'all's attention because the totality of this, I think, is really being undermined because the vendor is Black. But there's like 2,000 people that's inbound from PA and VA that's coming to New Orleans that already have plane tickets booked, hotels booked. From my perspective, I'm a vendor. I got beer in the tank that's specifically for this event, plus 45 of my other representatives that are Black-owned beer breweries coming from all over the nation. And, it looks like because the strategy and the speed at which this thing is going off, I'm just trying to do everything in my power to make sure this doesn't go through. There was no agenda put forward. The list goes on. You'll probably see some mayors raining down on Mayor Helena Moreno office within the next 24 hours from PA and VA. Again, this is a big deal. It's about to make a lot of national news. The largest hop grower in the world is a sponsor for this out of Moxie, Washington. I myself am very well invested, as well as some local breweries, minus Avita Brewing. It's very unfortunate that this is going on, but I just want to bring that news to WBOK. This gentleman has been on the front porch in the past, very much involved with it.
Oh, okay. Oh, we lost you there, John. I don't know if you're still on the line there. All right.
Yeah.
It looks like we lost them, but that's interesting.
Yeah, and I've heard about that. Remember doing the Essence Fest or around, and there was the issue when there was an event at the bookstore at on Elysian Fields, and they said they got canceled or whatever. I don't know the full details because they said it was like a blackout because of the Essence Fest and only activities for Essence. And I think I don't know what it got. I think that got resolved. I'm not sure. Yeah. But that sounds like what this is. But it sounds like if he already had a permit. That there should have been some better coordination with the city and everything. I would suggest he call his council person and
call your council person and work it out. I love beer.
And we definitely want to support Black entrepreneurship. It sounded like they was really doing something positive.
We definitely do. So well, thank you, John. I appreciate you giving us a call. And we'll take a look and we'll look out for that and see what happens with it. In the meantime, got to get to a commercial break. I'm Eddie Francis along with Torrin Sanders on the Good Morning Show on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black interim CEO of Chicago Public Schools, Macalyn King, is now the district's permanent leader.
I am both honored and humbled to accept the position of permanent superintendent CEO for Chicago Public Schools. It is a responsibility I carry with the weight of every student's future in mind.
She takes on a budget gap and a new board. A Black man from Memphis, Tennessee has filed a federal civil rights complaint alleging police took an inappropriate photo of his deceased mother. LaMichael Wilson says the image appeared on her phone days after her death and violated her dignity. And actor Omar Gooding is recovering after a serious car accident that left him with a neck fracture. Gooding posted a video from the hospital saying he won't need surgery and credits his seatbelt and God with saving his life. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Eddie Francis in for Will Sutton. And we have the good Reverend Dr. Torrance Sanders.
Good
hanging out
morning.
with
Good
us
morning.
this morning.
Enjoying this. Enjoying
this.
man.
Enjoying having
good
you.
Conversations.
Yes, we had some good conversation. We had some good conversation. We talk a little bit, talk about a few things, talk about some things,
That's right.
Get some things straight, find out what's going on in the world, what's happening, you know what I'm saying? All right, so we have a special guest this morning from Greater St. Stephen's. Bishop T. Delbert Robinson is joining us this morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, great morning. All is well. How are you doing?
We are great.
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. I woke up on this side of the dirt.
Yeah, 6 feet above the ground is better than 6 feet below the ground on any given day.
Absolutely. So we understand you have a big raffle happening with Greater St. Stephen's. What you got going on?
Well, actually, it's a giveaway that we have going on, a free Visa gift card giveaway. But before we get into that, it's a part, truthfully, it's a part of our resurrection service that's taking place on this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. And we'll have a service, of course, in our main sanctuary for our adults, but we also are offering a youth service for ages 5 through 18. And we want to invite you to that, because that's how you can be a part of our Visa card giveaway that is meant for the community. So we would love to invite everyone to come out and partake in this whole moment of blessings. We just want to be a blessing to our community.
So for people who might not know, and I know we in New Orleans, we kind of take it for granted when it comes to Greater St. Stephen's, but for people who might know, especially for people who might be new to New Orleans and they don't know the lay of the land as far as our great churches are concerned, tell us a bit more about Greater St. Stephen's.
Absolutely. Well, Greater St. Stephen, of course, has been pastored by legends, and most notable of all, Bishop Paul S. Morton is our predecessor, and also he's my father-in-law and father-in-law, along with Dr. Deborah B. Morton, who is my immediate past predecessor, and they served Greater St. Stephen, my goodness, for 46 years combined. Bishop Morton, 33 years, and then Pastor Deborah coming behind him with 13 years. And so with that being said, Greater St. Stephen is definitely a staple and a legend in our city. And I, along with my wife, co-pastor Jasmine, we now lead the church. So this is really a family affair, because co-pastor Jasmine is their eldest daughter, and I am son-in-law. And so therefore we lead the church in this season, and we've been there now for going into 5 years. And so Greater St. Stephen has been around. It's a trusted name. We would love for any and all persons to come worship with us on what we're calling the Super Bowl Sunday in the Kingdom of God. Resurrection Sunday is the believer's holiday. So we invite you again, 5600 Reed Boulevard in New Orleans East, 10:30 a.m. We would love to have you in the house.
Wonderful news, Bishop. This is Pastor Sanders from Sixth Baptist Church. Good morning to you.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Great to hear your voice.
Yes. And, well, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but, my first sermon was at Greater St. Stephen back in March 1989 at the Uptown location.
My goodness.
Yeah. So
and Greater has put out so many sons and daughters and powerful voices across the country. I'm telling you, I'm just privileged to serve as senior pastor, and I did not know that, but man, you are doing a tremendous job in this season, of course, and we thank God for you. And I'll let Bishop know.
Oh yeah.
You're on the radio with us. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
But congratulations to you and to your wife and the work that y'all are doing, keeping the legacy alive and being relevant for this generation. I wish I could come. I'm gonna be at my church, but I wish I could get my Visa card and save one to the side for a brother. I'm just playing with you.
I got you.
Do it for the children.
Thank you so much. To God be the glory.
Yeah.
So Bishop Robinson, one of the things that came up a little earlier in this week on the show is I actually brought up this thing about how people are really trying to find ways to infuse spirituality back into everything that they're doing, whether it
Absolutely.
is being able to infuse spirituality into their work lives. They want to be able to infuse spirituality into whatever, and they want to be able to do it in a way that is not necessarily overbearing to anyone else, but at the same time, they want to be able to celebrate their faith. They want to be able to do that. So,
Sure.
what is it that, how do you see people being able to do that in a way that they can bring their full selves to work, for example, or bring their full selves to whatever experience they're doing in life, and still be able to celebrate their spirituality and be able to walk their faith walk in a healthy way? How do you see people being able to do that?
Excellent question. Excellent question. And thank you for posing that question to me. If I can make an analogy to really drive this point home, we live, of course, in a cell phone generation. And here's one of the most powerful, underestimated things about a cell phone. Doesn't matter how much you pay the bill, doesn't matter how up-to-date your phone is, if you do not charge your cell phone up, and in most cases, charge it up fully. If you don't fully charge your cell phone, you will not be able to get full usage out of your cell phone. I believe and teach that man is three parts: spirit, body, or spirit, soul, and body. When you connect with God spiritually, it is the same thing that happens with your cell phone. Doesn't matter how much you work out. Doesn't matter how many books you read or how much knowledge you have. If you want to bring your full self to every area of your life, and that's professional, family, financial, every area of your life, there has to be a connection with God that charges you up maximally so that you can perform at an optimal level, not from your mind and not just from your body, but from your spirit. The Bible says it this way: know ye not that your body is the temple of the living God? And being that temple, you have to charge you have to charge your spirit. You have to charge that temple. You have to be connected to a greater power source. And when you connect to that power source, everything else becomes a resource or a repeat or a recapitulation, if you will, of what you are connected to. And so we're in this generation of reformation, or the reforming of a great revival, a great awakening, where so many people are realizing that they cannot do life without God. And the greatest way to do that, and that's why I believe this Sunday coming will be a tremendous win for the kingdom of God, for the Christian community, because every pastor has an opportunity to get people to connect to God in a meaningful way, to the end that they are charged up and maximized to bring their full self and their best self to the table. I want to tell everybody on this line, whatever you do, do not miss church on this Resurrection Sunday.
All right, and once again,
Bishop, what do you hope to be the impact of the giveaway, the youth service, which I love to hear? What do you hope to be the impact?
Well, as I just said, with the giveaways, people need to know that the church is not just about the four walls. That the early church had a way of infusing with the community and bringing people into church. First of all, in the early churches, there were no four walls of the church. But in these days, we want to impact people to the degree that they know that they came to the house of God, they were served spiritually, and their needs were met physically, materially. And in the same way with our young people, we really want to partner with parents and guardians, which is my vision, to inoculate and really give our young people a boost, give them a spiritual opportunity. And I believe that the impact will be the same. We have some awesome youth directors right now that are working with me hand in hand. So what I'm saying on an adult level, they take it and translate it to the younger generation, and the impact will be powerful because you have the parent able to talk about what was happening on their level, and the child can relate with what's happening on their level. And we've already seen tremendous impact amongst our youth. We have kids that are getting baptized, and again, ages 5 through 18, we have a tremendous influx of young people accepting the Lord Jesus Christ, receiving water baptism. Lives are changing, grades are changing, behavioral structures are changing. I'm believing God for an impact that will really change the family structure as a whole. And we know in this day and age that families have so many different dynamics that you have to get spirituality, you have to get the faith of Jesus into every aspect of the household for impact to truly be made. So that's what we're really thanking God for this weekend, even through the Visa cards, believe it or not, even through the Visa cards. If people really realize, hey, we got this blessing at the church. If the Lord can do this, and I come and I receive the teachings and I start watching the Lord promote and elevate my life, it's no secret what God can do.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bishop T. Delbert Robinson, Senior Pastor, Greater St. Stephen's. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. And Pastor Sanders, preach all of it, man. Preach all of it.
God bless
rooting
you.
for you this weekend as well.
Amen.
All right. You
Have
got
a blessed one. Thank you all
too.
so much.
You too. Most definitely. We're going to come back in just a little bit. Let's take a break. But we might have an issue of trust that actually is an issue around the world.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about that in just a couple of seconds. I'm Eddie Francis along with the good Reverend Dr. Torrance Sanders on the Good Morning Show on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, a giant leap toward lunar landing. The historic mission set for takeoff tonight, sending humans farther than ever before and launching a new era of space exploration.
Hey, this is D. Riley from the 90s Hits R&B Jams. Make sure you listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday night from 7 until 9 p.m. I'll be giving you the best R&B jams from the 90s. That's right, all your favorites and more. With me, D. Riley, your host of the 90s Hits, right here on WBOK 1230 AM. Or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
Good morning. Wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
You're not Will Sutton, though.
But I am not Will Sutton. I am not Will Sutton. You do not want me to write any columns for anybody. Trust me. That man is doing what he's supposed to do, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's right.
And the good Reverend Dr. Torrance Sanders. Do you prefer Reverend or Doctor? Which one? Or both?
Just don't call me late for dinner.
All right, we got a caller on the line this morning. Let's see what's going on with WB. Good morning, WB.
Good morning, gentlemen. I just woke up this morning and I realized that today was the beginning of the new year. And I want to wish everybody happy New Year. If you know, you know. And not trying to go into too much details about what I just said, but happy New Year, fellas. it only kind of like makes sense that the new year begin on April 1st and not in the dead of winter.
Okay.
But I digress from that. And I just reckon I celebrate New Year's today, so I just want everybody to celebrate with me.
I got you. Okay, well, I appreciate you. Thank you, WB. Happy New Year to you.
All right, bro. Thank you, sir.
All right, then. You got it. So, I did go into this thing on my show about the different New Years and when they start, and I was just trying to find it, but there's several cultures that don't start their New Year's on January 1st, and so they're the New Year's that are actually done according to the seasons. Yeah. And so for some people, spring is a new year.
That's right. Yep. The agricultural, because that's for millennia. People lived according to agricultural seasons, of course. Yeah.
I see what we did there, WB. Yeah. Okay, I see what we did there. All right. I got you.
Hey.
So, Torrin, are you familiar with the Edelman Trust Barometer?
No, I am not.
So every year, this communications company called Edelman Communications, they do a global trust barometer.
Okay.
And what they do is they actually gauge how much people trust or how little people trust our institutions.
Okay.
So they take a look at government, education, business, and I forget what the fourth sector is.
It ain't religion?
It is. Oh, you know what? Here it is. It is actually work, business, non-government organizations, media, and government. There we go. So those are the sectors that they take a look at. And for the 2026, and I've been following this for the past maybe, 5 years. I've been following the Trust Barometer. Longer than that, actually. And every year, it gets worse.
Of course.
Every year it gets worse. I mean, ever since they've been doing, and I think they've been doing this for like 20-some-odd years, if I'm not mistaken, it has gotten worse just about every year. So this year, for 2026, the report says that worldwide, 7 in 10 have an insular mindset. Easy for me to say, insular mindset. 70% are unwilling or hesitant to trust someone who has different values, facts, problem-solving approaches, or cultural backgrounds. And generally, what they are saying is that when they are taking a look at this, and 40% are hesitant, 30% are unwilling, 30%, only 30% are open-minded though. And this is around the globe. There's a global consensus that insularity must be addressed. The majority believe that it is a problem that people in their country distrust those with differences so much that they actively try to make things worse for one another. So according to this, 31% say it's a moderate problem, but 45% say that it is a large crisis level problem. Trust brokering can help bridge this divide, is what the barometer says as well. Globally, all institutions have made a mandate to bridge divides and facilitate trust building. Employers are best positioned to broker trust as they have the best performance score. And so when you take a look at the gaps here, the institution, the people who say the institution are obligated to do it, 75% say that employers are obligated to do it. 58% say that that employers are doing well at it. And so it's really interesting to take a look at how people are saying, I really don't trust anybody, but somebody needs to fix it.
So I got questions more than answers here for this. So first, I'm wondering, and this may sound silly to some, but how do they define trust?
Yeah,
is the first question I have. How do you operationalize that? We would say in academia. That's the first question. And then if it's global, I wonder, how is that the same? How do you measure that? How we defined it across all these different cultures and places and what have you. That's just this question. So I know they probably have a methodology stuff on that. But the other piece, they use this word insularity, which is not frequently used, but it basically means, trusting your own knowledge and your own stuff to the exclusion to some extent of other, like say, facts, opinions, beliefs, and everything. And I guess there is a relationship between the excuse me, those two, but they're not really they're not the same. And I do believe insularity can be a problem, meaning that, being open-minded is a value.
Yeah.
That no one knows everything all the time, and that how do we, and especially in an increasingly diverse society, even though they're against DEI, that's not stopping the diversity in our society. And then learning from others, from old can learn from young, as well as young learn from old. Black can learn from white learn from black, on and on. So we are truly we're a community if we want to act like it, and so, refusing insularity, or another word is parochialism, you being just, I remember, one of my sons, and when they were young, and I took them to a Chinese, restaurant for the first time, and it was like, ooh, that food looks different. Ooh, something must be wrong with it. And I was like, no, it's just different. It's different from what your grandma make, on Sunday morning, but check it out, be willing to try it. And then I couldn't keep them from the Chinese restaurant after that, And like, where are we going? Can we do hibachi too? And then they want to try everything now. So it's like, how do we do that? But intellectually and spiritually and emotionally, to be open to people, and not, if it ain't my way, it's wrong.
Yeah. And I think that at the end of the day, and I was looking to see if they have a specific definition of trust for Edelman itself. And they don't necessarily talk about the definition of trust so much as they talk about what trust does. And I get where this is coming from, because they're a communications company.
Okay.
And one of the things that you do in PR and communications is you talk a lot to your clients or your employer about trust. So the president or the CEO of this company wants to make this decision. You're like, great. How have you communicated this decision?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're not going to tell them everything. It's like, okay, if you don't tell them everything, there's going to be a trust gap.
Yeah, that's right.
And so people are not going to be open-minded to you. They're not going to cooperate with you. They're not going to believe you. Right. And so I think that's where Edelman is coming from when it comes to how they define trust. And it's interesting, because that is a big cornerstone of the work that they do. So I can tell that they have worked with a lot of really big leaders.
Yeah. And they are, trust is it is a basic concept. So when I say, what's the definition, that is important, but it's, people do have an understanding of what trust is, and from a psychological standpoint, there's one psychologist, Erik Erikson, I teach this at Suno, and the first level for children is trust versus mistrust.
Yeah.
And so if that baby doesn't trust, even from, feeding, right? And when I cry, that somebody's going to pick me up, or cuddle me or nurture me, whatever. So trust is a foundational human thing. And yes, it does translate into organization, and of course, relationships with couples. If I don't trust my wife, then we're going to have a problem. My wife doesn't trust me, fundamentally.
Right.
Ain't nothing else going to work out, eventually, right? And that's in organizations, in terms of the leadership, as well as amongst peers. If I think my peer, on my job, my colleague is untrustworthy, then how am I going to communicate to them? Hey, I got a problem with this. Can you help me? I ain't going to say nothing to them, because they might tell the boss, I don't know such and such.
Yeah.
So, it will limit productivity ultimately also. So they're on the right track with that. But of course, and look, we don't want to bring up the T word today, Trump, but
we almost made it.
But you got to go there. He lives in my head, right? And that's, deliberately, he's been just trying to destroy trust in organizations, and to believe then that only he is the right one.
Right.
None of these organizations, none of the institutions are in the Supreme Court, the Congress, the whatever. None of them are trustworthy. Just come to me, and I will let you know whatever you need to know.
Absolutely. I think that is a great point. As a matter of fact, I would love for the audience to weigh in with this question, and I want to get thoughts about, where does trust need to be built now? I don't want to ask who's responsible. How does it get done? How do we get on the path of rebuilding trust? Because I think you're right. I think that, unfortunately, the current administration has been pretty successful at breaking that down.
Fake news.
And yeah, it has been pretty successful. Well, how do we rebuild it? Because I'm going to say this, and this is not a diss to our elected officials. I don't think we can and should depend on them, right? And when I say can, I don't mean that they're untrustworthy. What I mean is that they're human beings.
Yes.
And they're going to make mistakes. And so when we take a look at elected officials, business leaders, education leaders, when we take these leaders of different sectors, where does the trust get rebuilt?
Yeah.
504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. I would love for you to weigh in. Where does the trust get rebuilt? I'm Eddie Francis in for Will Sutton, along with the Reverend Dr. Torrin Sanders on the Good Morning Show. WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Looking at another day of being very warm and muggy with another chance for some afternoon showers as we approach about noon to 6 p.m. That's when we'll see the heaviest amount of rain. And then as far as temperatures go for today, 81 to 83. For tonight, showers should come to an end. We'll see lows 63 to 68. And then for tomorrow, a little less rain coverage, but still going to see some scattered showers. Highs 81 to 83. Still watching for showers and storms on Easter. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks
and Kimber White Dupree
from the front porch.
Some combos are too good to miss. Now you can pull up a chair to the front porch anytime.
Just search WBOK Media and subscribe to the Front Porch Podcast.
Download, share, and hit us with a 5-star rating because New Orleans culture deserves to be heard loud and clear.
City Park is where to go when you don't know where to go. Turn towards the city center and start walking. Before long, you'll end up where you belong, at the heart of the city, New Orleans City Park. Stroll along the reeded marsh, wander through the sculpture garden, rest and recharge beneath ancient oak trees. This is where your spirit goes to grow. It's in our nature to yearn for nature. NewOrleansCityPark.org. Heart of the city.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month from the Community Scientist and Rise St. James. This month's focus is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, formed when fuels like oil, gas, wood, or trash are burned. These chemicals can enter the air we breathe and settle into our soil and water. Many PAHs are known carcinogens, adding to the health burdens faced by communities living near industry. Learn how to protect your health at risestjames.org.
Across Louisiana, electric and gas bills are rising. But why? The Alliance for Affordable Energy, your energy watchdog, can help. Bring your electric and gas bills and your questions to our community bill workshop. Find out, what are these charges? Why do they keep going up? Who set the rates? Bring your bills and join us Tuesday, April 7th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the East Bank Library on West Napoleon in Metairie. Learn more on the Alliance for Affordable Energy Facebook page.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Eddie Francis in for Will Sutton. And joining us, the good Reverend Dr. Torrin Sanders.
Good morning. Good morning.
Represent this morning, man. He wore letters, man. He came in with the letters this morning.
This was the first shirt I found this morning.
Is that what it is?
You know, that's the first shirt I found.
running out of the house, grab a shirt.
That's right.
Throw it on.
Give me this.
Yeah, I've had many of those mornings. Trust me. Trust me. And, just to make sure Jared is all right, I'll make sure I take a shower. So there we go. The guests, too.
That's right. That's right.
So I pose this question about where does trust, where do we begin building trust? And the reason I ask that question is I have a lot of respect for elected officials. I appreciate them. Some of my best friends are elected, I'm being genuine when I say that. The thing is, I think we tend to forget that they're human, and we tend to forget that elected officials have agendas. There was actually brother of ours, Eugene Lee Johnson, who's assistant professor of political science at Southern. I did an interview with him last year about basically the ABCs of politics. And he said something very interesting. He said, and he has done political strategy.
Okay.
And he said, when a politician gets elected to office, what's their first order of business? And I was like, to start working with people. He said, no, to get ready for their next election.
That's right.
And he said that's what they work on. They try to figure out how to get reelected. I say that to say that, elected officials, even the best ones on their best days, with the most integrity, they're human beings and they have agendas. There are certain things that they're working on, especially when they are in one of those situations where the people have resoundingly spoken, and let's be honest, the money has spoken, right?
Yeah.
And so they look at where those donations come from, that sort of thing. And so we can't necessarily depend on them all the time to be as trustworthy as we would like for them to be. I don't think it's malicious. I don't want to make that assumption, but we just can't depend on them. And then when it comes to business leaders, they have their agendas. Education leaders have their agendas. The people in different sectors, they all have their agendas when it comes down to, what's going on. Again, this is not to indict anyone, and this is not to say that they mean to do bad things, but we're human, right? And we have these things. So when it comes down to trust, I really wonder where on the level of the citizenry can we build trust, and how can we build trust? And I think one of the ways that we do it is that we do hold our leaders' feet to the fire in some way. And we remind them, we're trusting you to make at least to make the best decision that you can make. Yeah. It's not going to be a perfect decision, but at least the best decision. Your social work wheels.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, if you, as a former elected official also, school board, and I see a couple of things. One, in terms of, as a citizenry, in terms of who we elect, we have to stop, to the extent that we have done this in the past, electing people that just show up at election time. To just say, I want to run for office.
Yeah.
Our first wave of Black elected officials were extremely well known to the community before they were ever a politician. Dutch Morial didn't just show up to run for mayor. Right? I mean, he had put in work. NAACP, he was, judge. He was known in the community for laboring with the people, and so he was a known quantity.
And so it's like they were chosen before they were elected.
Exactly. And so we know what we're going to get because the person has already demonstrated to the community when the fire was already there, where they stand. But if you select somebody like, oh wow, they got a degree and they're this and they talk well, yeah, come on and be in charge of us for now. It's like, well, wait a minute, you don't know. It's like getting married to somebody you met last night. It's like, wait a minute, I felt something. No, you didn't feel nothing.
Then they said all the right things.
They said all the right things. So that's the first thing on our part. We gotta, demand more. Yes, after they're elected, but don't just fall for the okie doke in terms of who we put up there. Have a relationship of trust with them in the community. The second thing, though, is we do need to look at not taking the money out of politics, but how we limit the money. Because you're right, some people are beholden to the donors and then are operating on that agenda rather than the people's agenda. Because you don't get elected with money, you get elected by votes. But of course, if then they intersect. So that's the other thing, and that's a great argument for the citizen elected official. Term limits I agree with, and the idea in our country was, you're a citizen, you go do your civic duty as an elected official for a minute, and then you come back and be a citizen.
We always forget civic duty.
Yes.
We always forget that.
But, and again, I'm not against, people who've been in politics for a long time and everything, but that shouldn't be necessarily the norm, because then, you do get that calcification, that hardening in terms of every decision is made based upon a political calculus in terms of reelection rather than what's the good of the people.
Yeah.
I can go on, but, so those are some of my initial thoughts there. And I think, but it's everywhere. We all need to reevaluate our trustworthiness. You know, what does matter? How do you make decisions? You know, what is important to you? Is everything transactional? You know, what you going to do for me if I'm do this for you? Or is there something to say, you know what, I'm just going to do what's right because it's right. Even if I don't come out on the top, you know, it's the right thing to do, and my reward will come, and not necessarily in the afterlife, but later on in life. You know, it's going to come back to me some kind of way.
Yeah.
Then, you know, you can put some trust in, you know, we all need to demonstrate that and role model that.
I'm going to open a can of worms.
Open it.
With 25 minutes left in the show. 24. I think we have a big problem with transactional relationships in New Orleans. I think we have an enormous problem with it. I can't tell you how many times I have dealt with someone who only wanted to deal with me because they thought that they were going to get something, and they didn't get what they think they were getting, and all of a sudden I just never heard from them ever again.
Yes.
And I would just run into them somewhere, and then blah, blah. I can't tell you how many times I have spoken to people who have almost flat out told me, oh, well, I thought you was somebody because I hear you on the radio and stuff. I thought you was somebody, but you ain't got nothing going on. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. What did I do?
Yeah.
And I have had people all but tell me that. And I have to tell you, man, that hurts.
Wow.
That really hurts because you're sitting there going, you're thinking that you are building a relationship. And you're thinking that, yeah, I can do business with this person, or this is somebody I can trust. And then you find out that the only reason they wanted to deal with you in the first place is because they thought you could deliver something to them.
Yeah.
And I really think, I think that when I hear people talk about some of the issues that we have in our dear city, I hear a lot of distrust a lot of time, or mistrust. And what you just said, I think is the reason. I think we tend to have a lot of transactional relationships here. And that really, and it doesn't just hurt the individual, it hurts the city.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you know, lessening of, you know, I'll do something to build you up because I believe that I'll get built up, you know, in some way. You know, doing good to others will in some way do good. I don't have to extract it from you just because I did something from you. You know, that same thing will come around to me. And maybe some people say, well, that's naive, you know, and all of that kind of stuff. Again, it goes back to infusing spirituality, you know, into your life and believing that if nobody else sees, God saw, and God's the one that can make anything happen, you know.
I will tell you, so Tori, I'll tell you one of the funniest things someone has ever told me, and it is one of the truest things I've ever heard. My good friend, we call each other cuz we can't confirm yet. But my man, Kendall Francis at Channel 6.
Yeah.
Kendall and I were talking about somebody, and this person we were talking about had a reputation.
Okay.
And Kendall said, cuz I don't know about that person, man. My soul just be hurting when they're around me. And I was like, yes.
My soul hurt. Boy.
I said, yes. I said, this person is putting a spiritual hurting on me right now. I said, because I want to go take a bath after dealing with this person. Like, it is, goodness gracious, man. And I think that is something that I would like for us to really work on.
Yeah.
You know, as far as, and I think when we keep, and I do, to your point, I do believe that one of the reasons we make bad choices, especially in elections, is we have such a transactional attitude about it.
Yeah.
I said this not too long ago. I actually did a talk at Grambling for their School of Social Work. And I said this during my keynote speech. I said, you know, we live so heavy on individualism. Listen to our language every election. Look at the price of my groceries. I don't want my neighborhood to I. There's hardly ever a we about our community and what we can do together. So I really appreciate that point that you just made.
Yeah. No, it's real. And you know, we talk about, again, you know, when you're living spiritually, it matters. It makes a difference. Now, I wouldn't mind, and I've done this. I may call you up. Hey, Eddie, hey, Tom, what's going on? Look, I need something from you.
Right.
You know, I'm calling because I need something. Can you do this for me? You know, period. You know, so I'm not gonna be like, hey, Ed, how you doing? Talk for 20 minutes. Look, oh,
don't you love those calls?
Yeah, look, I mean, like, you could have started lead with it.
You say, what's going on, man? How you doing,
and look,
man?
later on, if you need me for something that I can do for you, give me a call. I'll be there. But, you know, I'm not going to, you know, so if I got an agenda to call you, you know, then I'm going to let you know. It's not, you know.
Especially when they start asking about people who are irrelevant. You remember Fred from school? And I'm like, yeah, I remember Fred. How you think Fred's doing? I don't know. I was working with Fred for 15 years. It's like, what's really going on?
Yeah, exactly. So,
okay, you got me. All right, so listen.
Yeah, so just be upfront. That's being trustworthy, because I know you're going to tell me what the real deal is, you know, and I don't have to fish for it also. So that's a part of, you know, ethical living, you know, being righteous, you know, and so we have to get back to that, keep that going, teach that to our children and our children's children, you know. But in terms of, and of course, if we have people who are being raised in communities like that around the world, that transactional nature, then that's how they will behave when they get in organizations.
Yeah.
And so we should not be surprised. But I do believe, you know, and I'm gonna say this, and, you know, don't hurt me, nobody, you know, and I say this kind of, you know, with parentheses, but I trusted George Bush a little bit. I mean, you know, the first one.
The first one?
Yeah, I didn't agree with them hardly at all, but I didn't believe that they were always just outright lying to me. You know, they may have told some lies. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I didn't believe that, like, they're like, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna see how I can just fool people every day, which is what I feel today, right? In terms of don't trust a word that his mission.
Right.
It's to confiscate. I mean, to obfuscate and confiscate, I guess.
Well, I will say this. I mean, I do think it's necessary to separate the individual from the work.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say that about George H.W. Bush.
Yes.
I actually told people, and they thought I was insane when I said this. I said, I don't think George W. Bush is a bad person. I said, he's the kind of person I can see myself sitting down and having barbecue and lemonade with. I was like, I actually kind of like him, honestly. And now look at him. You know, people are looking at him now and they're going, oh, he's actually not as bad as we thought. But
he believed what he believed. He was raised and trained in a certain way of thinking and being and doing. And it's completely antithetical in many ways to how I think about things. And, you know, the market this and, you know, but that's different from, you know, who you are, you know, in terms of and everything. And you know, so there's differences there. You can disagree politically, but still, like they used to say back in the 70s and even before, they would fight on the Senate floor in the Congress, but then go and have lunch together.
Absolutely.
Now they don't do lunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of them, I guess, I wouldn't want to do lunch with because they, you know, they're so ruthless. And everything where it wasn't always that way.
And I think, you know, there was a clip I saw from a panel discussion that Bill Clinton and George W. Bush were doing together. And Clinton said that after he got out of office, George W. Bush would call him frequently. And ask him questions about the presidency. And I know that there are people who probably don't believe that, but once upon a time, you know, political differences were just that, political differences.
That's right.
They weren't necessarily human differences. For Black folks, it's hard because, unfortunately, we're on the business end of all of it. You know, and that's what makes it hard for us to trust, I think. We have seen what happens, and we have felt what happens, and we're not necessarily in the same... We're not in the same sphere as Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. They're in a whole nother sphere. But I do think that it speaks to, I do think that it speaks to recognizing the human first. I said this, you know, months and months ago. There was something that happened where Candace Owens got upset, and Candace Owens got upset with somebody, and, you know, whatever happened. And I asked people, I said, hey, is this a good time to invite her to the barbecue, the cookout? And everybody's like, no. And I said, I get it. I get what you're saying. I have my Candace Owens issue as well. I said, but what I'm doing is I am thinking about her as a person. And I'm also thinking about her as a sister. Now, I'm just like anybody else. I have been completely fed up with her antics. You know, and I do think there's something else going on with her, to put it kindly. But with that situation, it did make me think, can we reach the human in her? And that was the thing that I was wondering about. We got Chris on the line right now. Let's get Chris in before we go to break. Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all making out?
All right.
Well.
Good. So I agree. I think also too when we look at our society pushes the individual narrative, but also too on the business side of things, especially with our community, we are. It's almost like we're in a state of infancy when it comes to how we deal with each other. There is no conflict resolution. There's no experience on how to handle, somebody with just a difference of opinion, a difference of perspective. We're not even open to a difference of perspective. And I'm speaking in general terms because I own a business, and a lot of people that I come in contact with, they have their opinions on the type of business that I run. Mm-hmm. And so we can't even have a dialogue because they're so stuck in the perspective that they have. It's almost like their religion. Mm-hmm. And I think it removes the human aspect of it, because it's like you're not even willing to even connect on the things that we agree on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, like, I feel like we need to get back to just having conversation. I think in the digital age that we're in right now, we're so accustomed to taking our thumbs and typing our opinions, and there's no dialogue back and forth. The comment section is the place where you get to be rock gut, and there's no immediate there's no reading of the room, or like the way you said that was just, man, like that type of response wasn't due, Mm-hmm. And so I just think that as a community, I think we need to get back to having, let's have Ms. Owens at the cookout. Former President Bush.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, go get you a daiquiri.
Some wings.
And let's, some wings, some crawfish, and let's all go hang out on the lake and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to break barriers when there's a common ground. And I think, especially in the current state of New Orleans East, you have people that are torn. The people that live on one side of I-10 have a stigma on people that live on the other side of I-10. And I think that we have our senior community that has an idea of what New Orleans East should be, and then we have the people that are raising families in New Orleans East that have a perspective on what New Orleans East should be. And I think we need to bridge the gap. And so we need to go on. We need to meet up at Tynola. We need to meet up at somewhere and break bread, and really plan out and get past all of these different ideas of what it should be, and really look at what it means for New Orleans East to come back in the rightful place that it should be.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate
Excellent.
your comment this morning.
And and we talk about just people believing, what they want to believe, even if it's to their own detriment. Gary Chambers, talks a lot about, people voting against their own interests.
Yeah.
And, and it's like, I think about, we're talking about truth and everything, and you have so many of our white brothers and sisters in the state of Louisiana who are voting, the way they're voting in terms of, for Trump, whose policies, and you got throughout so many red states where, they're not doing well at all. Mm-hmm. But it's like they're because of other messages that's being sent, then they're fully on board with these policies that are against them. The whole the Obamacare. I'm against Obamacare. Yeah. Do you have Medicaid or Medicaid? Oh yes. So you on Obamacare?
Yeah.
And they're like, what? Not, and so, but because of what all the other stuff they think about Obama. And letting that, stop them from thinking about really their best interests. And so, there needs to be those meetings. I would love to sit down, with people who are thinking like that and say, come on, let's really talk. And, of course, research. People say, well, I do my research. Well, all their research is looking at other Facebook posts that agree with what they believe. That ain't research.
Don't get me started on that.
That ain't research.
Don't get me started on people and oh, golly. We're gonna go to a break.
I did my research, Eddie.
There's a quote I'm gonna run by you when we come back about people and research in conspiracy theory. Oh goodness gracious! I gotta run this quote by you.
All right.
In the meantime, we're gonna come back. It's the Good Morning Show, WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Young black entrepreneur Dion Nicholas founded agentic AI company Forethought in 2017 to try to make AI used for customer service more user-friendly. Nicholas refers to it as human-centered AI.
Customers are getting their questions answered faster, and they're actually seeing an even better experience in many cases than when interacting with a human agent. So this idea of, hey, I just want to press 0 and talk to a human is actually a thing of the past when it comes to agentic AI.
That's Nicholas on Bloomberg Television. The company so far has done well enough that it caught the attention of the much larger firm Zendesk, which decided to acquire Forethought. Tom Eggemeyer is CEO of Zendesk and spoke to Bloomberg about why Forethought aligns with his company's vision for agentic AI.
A lot of companies are just trying to get deflections, get the customer not talking to them. Forethought is exactly what Zendesk is trying to do. We're really symbiotic here. We're trying to resolve the customer's issues.
I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Pros, just because something on the job runs out doesn't mean you have to. Order it on the Lowe's app. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members get free same-day delivery on eligible orders over $25. Get the fasteners, hardware, or tools you need to keep the job moving. Order by 2 p.m. and get eligible in-stock items delivered right to your job site by 8 p.m. Members get more at Lowe's. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Subject to availability. Restrictions and terms at lowes.com/shipping terms. Subject to change.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
Hoops, Heat, The Truth, On Demand. Ball Don't Lie is now live on all podcast platforms. Tap in, search WBOK Media, find Ball Don't Lie, and bring the fire with you wherever you go. Download, share, and leave that 5-star review because the game doesn't stop when the show ends.
New Orleans is built to host, and at the New Orleans Ernest N. Memorial Convention Center, it is where big ideas, major events, and careers come together under one roof. As the 6th largest convention center in the country with a team recognized as a national top workplace, we are proud to power the events that keep our city moving forward. Our staff of more than 450 brings nearly 3,900 years of combined experience, an average of almost 9 years each. If you're looking for a robust benefits package, career stability, and opportunity, visit mccno.com to explore open positions today.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and do not have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you do not pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call. If you've been injured in an auto accident, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And good morning. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Eddie Francis and for Will Sutton. The good Reverend Dr. Torrance Sanders is hanging out with us.
Good morning.
So we actually left talking a little bit about, we started to get into conspiracy theories a little bit, or conspiracy theorists. If you want to hear a good interview about critical thinking, as I pat myself on the shoulder, I actually on the way forward, there's an interview on my YouTube channel with a sociologist by the name of Dr. Esha Lofrich. She's out of Croatia,
Wow.
actually, and she does social media commentary on critical thinking, on the need for it and how to do it. She makes this difference between critical thinking and conspiratorial thinking during the interview. And one of the things that she talked about is how conspiracy theorists are the ones who always have the answers. They always did the research.
Yeah.
But there's this quote I want to run by you. Have you ever heard of Joshua Doss?
Yes.
Joshua, I love this dude's
he's
videos.
good. Oh,
man.
yeah. Very, very thoughtful.
This brother is wicked, crazy smart.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I just, and if you're on social media, go to DOS.discourse for his commentaries. But there was this commentary that he did where somebody said in the comments, the WNBA needs to cut it out. They need to stop asking for more money. We don't want the NBA to be a socialist league. And he was like, well, actually, it has always been a socialist league. But, and I don't want to get into his commentary exactly, but here was the thing that he said that just made me, I was like, whoa, this is it. Everything is a conspiracy when you don't know how anything works.
Wow.
Yeah. And the funniest thing is I watched his Instagram video. I quoted him in the comments because I was like, that is a word.
Yes.
And I put a little target next to it. That got 5,600 likes. The fact that I quoted the man. But I thought that was one of those things, I got to sit with this. I sat with it for like 30 seconds and I was like, that's true.
That's right.
That's true. And I think what he's saying is when you don't bother to figure out the ins and outs and you don't read and you don't figure out how to read between the lines.
Yes.
And honestly, you just don't do you don't have fundamental knowledge of stuff.
Yes.
Everything is a conspiracy.
Yep. You jump to the easiest, superficial, connecting of dots that don't exist.
Exactly. So do yourself, I'll end the show saying this. Do yourself a favor. If you want to see some really good social, political, business commentary, I think he's a data scientist, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure. My other favorite is a sister from Spelman, Lene Vinay.
I've heard of her. I haven't seen her.
She does a Friday, like on every Friday, she puts something out. She sits down with a cup of tea. And she goes, it's Friday. She said, I'm going to keep it brief.
I got to check her out. I got to check her out. I know what you're talking about. I have seen her. I got to check her out.
She's special.
But go to social media. Go to Instagram. If you're on TikTok or whatever, go to Joshua Doss, DOS.discourse. Excellent commentaries and stuff. Very educated cat. I mean, this brother, and he's a young brother too. Amen. He's a young brother. Yes. So go check him out. I really like his stuff.
Great being with you these last 2 days. Can I invite people to the Sixth Baptist Church on Sunday?
Of course you can.
This Sunday only for Easter, 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. 2 services, 928 Felicity Street. Check out our website at 6baptistchurchnola.org, and that's with the number 6, baptistchurchnola.org. You can get more information. Thanks for having me, man.
You got it. Thanks for being here, my brother.
All right.
And I will check you out tomorrow with another mystery co-host. I'm Eddie Francis in for Will Sutton. The Front Porch is next on WBOK, where New Orleans is talking about all day long.